I still remember the night everything broke. Not because of what happened but because of what didn't. The sentence I was about to say stayed trapped in my throat, unfinished like a door left open in a storm. And that unfinished moment followed me for years. My name is Elena Wright, and this is the story of how I took my life back without ever raising my voice. Or my hand. I used to believe betrayal arrived loudly. Shouting. Slamming doors. Tears. But betrayal is quiet. It sits beside you at dinner. It smiles when you succeed. It holds your hand while planning your collapse. I learned that lesson from Mark Dalton, the man who once called me the safest place he knew. Back then I was 26, ambitious and dangerously trusting. I worked as a financial analyst in a fast-growing investment firm. I was invisible in meetings but irreplaceable behind the scenes. I built models, forecasts, risk assessments, the kind of work people took credit for without understanding. Mark was my manager. He noticed me before anyone else did. Or at least that's what I believed. He encouraged me to speak more, to share my ideas, to step into my potential. And slowly, piece by piece, I did. What I didn't realize was that every idea I gave him became his. Every report I shared became his presentation. Every success I earned became his promotion. So I trusted him. That was my first mistake. The second mistake was loving him. It happened gradually. The late nights, the private jokes, the way he remembered things about me no one else did. When he touched my arm, I felt seen. When he told me I was brilliant, I believed him. When he kissed me for the first time in his car after work, I didn't pull away. What I didn't know then was that while I was falling for him, he was already planning his next move. And I was standing right in the way. The collapse came on a Monday. I walked into the office smiling, still replaying the message he had sent me the night before. Tomorrow changes everything. Trust me. I thought it meant us. Instead, it meant my termination. HR was waiting. Security was waiting. Mark wasn't. They said my performance had declined. That I had violated professional boundaries. That there were complaints. I remember trying to speak. Trying to understand. I remember starting a sentence. This doesn't make sense because. But they never let me finish it. That unfinished sentence haunted me for months. Later I learned the truth. Mark had submitted a report accusing me of data manipulation. He claimed I had altered figures to sabotage a deal. He backed it with emails. Emails he had carefully edited. Conversations taken out of context. My trust turned into evidence against me. By the time I understood what he had done, my career was already bleeding out. No references. No explanations. No closure. Mark. He got promoted. People think revenge starts with anger. It doesn't. It starts with confusion. With unanswered questions that refuse to let your mind rest. With memories that feel incomplete. With moments that don't add up. That's the Zeigarnik Effect. The brain's obsession with unfinished business. And my life became one long unfinished thought. For 2 years I disappeared. I took freelance work under a different name. I studied quietly. I learned things Mark never thought I would. Regulatory loopholes, compliance structures, internal audit systems. I rebuilt myself in silence. But every night the same question returned. Why did he need to destroy me completely? I didn't have the answer yet. And my mind wouldn't let me forget it. The answer came accidentally. I was working late at a cafe when I overheard a conversation behind me. 2 men in suits. Same firm. Same department. They were talking about Mark. About how he always needed a fall person. About how I wasn't the first. And I wouldn't be the last. Something clicked. Finally completing a puzzle piece that had been missing for years. Mark didn't just betray me. He used me. And I was done being unfinished. Revenge doesn't need speed. It needs patience. I started by applying to companies connected to his firm. Not to work with him but near him. I positioned myself where my skills would matter again. Where my voice would slowly regain weight. I never contacted him. That was intentional. Unanswered presence is more unsettling than confrontation. Months later his firm began an internal audit. Not because of me. Because of patterns. Unfinished patterns. Numbers that didn't align. Decisions that lacked documentation. Deals that looked clean on the surface but rotten underneath. And guess who was hired as an external consultant? Me. Mark didn't recognize me at first. Not until I spoke. Not until he heard the voice he had tried to erase. His smile froze. I didn't confront him. I didn't accuse him. I just did my job, thoroughly. I left questions unanswered in meetings. I paused mid-sentence and said, "We'll return to that." I let silence work for me the way it once worked against me. The Zeigarnik Effect, now weaponized. Mark started unraveling. He couldn't sleep. He couldn't finish his thoughts. Every email from compliance felt like a threat. Because I never accused him directly. I let his own unfinished lies choke him. The final moment came quietly. An anonymous report was submitted, not by me but triggered by the evidence I had uncovered. The same way he once destroyed me. I watched as he was escorted out. No shouting. No drama. Just silence. The same silence he once gave me. Weeks later he emailed me. A long message. Apologies. Explanations. Justifications. I read it slowly. Then I stopped halfway through. I never finished it. I closed my laptop and walked away. Because some things don't need closure. They need control. Now when people ask how I survived betrayal, I tell them this. Revenge isn't about destruction. It's about completion. I finished the sentence Mark tried to silence. And for the first time in years, my mind finally rested.